There are 14 steps to construct a bungalow. Step 1. Site preparation. Step 2. Excavation. Step 3. Work below lowest floor finishes. Step 4. Frame. Step 5. Staircase. Step 6. Upper floor. Step 7. Roof and finishes. Step 8. Wall and finishes. Step 9. Floor and finishes. Step 10. Door and finishes. Step 11. Window and finishes. Step 12. Plumbing system. Step 13. Sanitary system. Step 14. Electrical wiring system. Next is our group's 3D modeling.
For my part, I will talk about window, the defects and rectification work involves. What is a window? Window is a wall, door or roof opening that allows light or air to flow and emits inside, outside and through an enclosure or building. There are three types of window. The first one is side-hung or casement, the second one is louver or jalousie, and the third one is sliding window. Defects in timber window is as you can see in the slide. The example of defects in timber window is rotting on window frame. These are the steps involved in rectifying the rotting timber window frame. The defects found in aluminium window is as you can see in the slide. The example of defects in aluminium window is water seepage through window, and the rectification step is as in the slide. To write a good description for BQ, you need to refer to SMM2 in section C and section U. This is an example of how to write a description for window finishing work. Lastly, here is the example of a BQ for window finishes.
Pattern and latent defect of internal wall. First of all is brick wall. Brick are small unit of construction material produced from fire, clay and sealed with mortar. One of the defects is efflorescence, which the appearance of drying grey and or white powder on the brick surface and caused by the presence of alkaline in bricks. Next is concrete wall. Concrete is recognized to be a very adaptable and dependable material. The defect is concrete cracking due to shoddy formal installation, evaporation of the water used in the concrete mixture and thermal expansion. Next is timber wall. Timber is natural product, are not immune to the defects, and the defect result in the loss of strength and other issue. Knock is one of the defects generated by the natural force or compressed by a force, and knock weaken the strength of the wood. Rectification work for efflorescence is inject damp-proofing cream into the brick wall and clean the efflorescence. It is measured in meters square according to clauses 3.28.1 and 2. Next, patching of epoxy is the way to repair concrete cracking. It is measured in meters square based on the clauses F.6.3. Lastly, the rectification work for knocks is to pour the epoxy into the void. This is measured in meters square according to the clauses M.1.9, while the finishing is measured in meters square based on the clauses U.3.1.
Next is pattern and latent defect for internal wall, plaster, paint, and wall tiles. Plaster is a building material used for the protecting and decorating. Cracking in plastering is an example of plaster defects. The causes of cracking in plastering is thermal movement, surface discontinuity, structural defects, poor workmanship, and excessive shrinking. Rectification work for cracking in plastering is score the open crack, spread on a thin layer of joint compound, cover the compound with a tape, and feather a compound 2 or 3 pass tape and let it dry. Sand the surface with fine sandpaper to get a smooth surface. Repeat feathering and sanding twice. Next is painting. Painting is not only to give a structure a good appearance but also protect against various infiltration measures such as corrosion, decay and weathering. Fading in painting is an example of painting defect. The causes of fading in painting is the wrong type of paint was chosen, not prepare the proper surface before painting, and lastly ignoring the impact of sunlight. The rectification work for fading in painting is first remove and make a thin layer of white paint. Second is sand and feathering the edges to blend, then clean and prime the surface. Lastly is repaint the problem spot using brush. Buckled tiles is an example of the wall tiles defects. The causes of buckled tiles is lack of expansion joints, uneven subfloor, moisture absorption, low quality of tile. Rectification work for buckled tiles is replace the tile with good quality tiles, or if the damage has a big area, replace the tile with the similar tiles with the old one. This is an example of how to write the good PQ.
Pattern and latent defects on gypsum partition. Known as a drywall, gypsum partition is made from a process called gypsum hydration technology. Firstly, one of the defects for framing is protrusion. The reason of this defect because of bridging, headers, fire stop or mechanical lines are not properly installed, so all of them are out of the frame. The rectification work for protrusion is firstly maintain the dampness in the frame, detach the fastener and retighten the fastener using driver type W screw. Cautiously, to avoid it from happening, place the twisted framing members before board application. Second defect is on panel board, which is water damage. The reason of this defect due to the water from rain, flood or leakage pipe during the transportation of the panel board or storage at the warehouse. The rectification work for this defect, firstly identify the duration of the board exposed to the water. Dry the board quickly before the application. After it dry, ensure there is no sign of dampness sheet damage. The board will return to its nature after drying. Repair it by using ready mix or setting type of joint compound if dampness still occur. The last defect of finishing, which is shadowing. The reason of this defect due to the accumulation of airborne dust on the colder side on the inferior surface of the wall. It happened due to the dissimilar temperature in outside of the wall. The rectification work for this defect, firstly clean the painted surfaces, remove the dust spot on the surface or redecorate the wall, apply a double layer that stick to the apply face layer, apply individually frame freestanding interior wall surface, insulate the gap to minimize the temperature dissimilarity between the component and panel.
Firefighting system. Firefighting system is a system of equipment used to prevent, extinguish, localize, or block fires in enclosed spaces. Defects in firefighting systems. It is the failure in firefighting system and prevent the safety barrier of having a successful operation when it is needed in a real fire situation. The examples of defects in firefighting system are trapped fire hose reel, fire hydrant failure, fire alarm signal could not be heard, corrosion in piping of fire sprinkler systems, and overcharged or undercharged fire extinguisher. Failure of fire hydrant due to accident. Fire hydrants can be destroyed in traffic accident. Motor cars crash into the fire hydrant and cause the fire hydrant to break. Rectification of damaged fire hydrant due to accident. Step 1. Switch off the isolation valve at the side of the fire hydrant to stop the water from flowing out. Step 2. Open the hydrant barrel and remove the pressure inside the hydrant. Step 3. Take out the broken valve and replace it with a new valve. Step 4. Close the hydrant barrel and open the isolation valve. This is to check whether the hydrant is functioning properly. Finally, turn off the hydrant and reattach the cap to the hydrant. The rectification work is done.